Imagine waking up one morning and looking out the window to a sky that seems to be on fire. The northern lights, a spectacular natural phenomenon, are now visible far beyond the usual polar regions. They are shimmering across the skies of Florida, Mexico, and even parts of the UK, painting the night sky in vibrant colors, greens, blues, reds, and purples. It's a mesmerizing sight, but beneath its beauty lies a powerful and dangerous force, a massive solar storm. The storm you are witnessing is one of the most intense solar events Earth has faced in the past 2 decades, and it's a reminder that our sun, while a source of life, is also capable of unleashing devastating forces. Solar storms, often thought of as harmless displays of light in the sky, are much more than that. They are bursts of energy and charged particles that can have profound effects on our modern, technology-dependent world. In fact, the latest solar storm has already had its impact, causing disruptions to satellite systems, including those operated by SpaceX. But here's the twist: while we've been lucky this time, experts are on high alert because this event is just one in a series of increasingly powerful solar storms, with the worst possibly still to come. The current solar cycle is one of the most active we've seen in years. At its core is a massive sunspot called AR 3664, which is not just any ordinary sunspot, it's a giant, more than 15 times the size of Earth. This enormous sunspot has already produced a series of powerful solar flares, some of which have been classified as X-class flares. These are the most intense kind of solar flare, and when they occur, they release vast amounts of energy into space. The radiation from these flares can travel across space and hit Earth in a matter of minutes, wreaking havoc on our planet's technological infrastructure. On May 3, 2024, for instance, a powerful X-1.6 flare erupted from AR 3664, sending a wave of charged particles hurtling toward Earth. This was followed by a series of even more intense flares, including an X-4.5 flare. These eruptions are dangerous because they can cause geomagnetic storms, which are disturbances in Earth's magnetic field. While this phenomenon may sound like something out of a science fiction movie, it's very real, and it poses a significant risk to our way of life. One of the most immediate concerns is the impact on satellites. These storms don't just create a spectacular light show in the sky, they can also damage satellites in orbit. This is where the real danger lies. Satellites are crucial to modern communication, navigation, and weather monitoring. When solar storms occur, the high-energy particles can interfere with their electronics and systems, causing them to malfunction or even fail entirely. This is exactly what happened to SpaceX's Starlink satellites. In May 2024, a violent solar storm caused these satellites to experience increased stress, forcing their protection systems to work overtime to safeguard their delicate equipment. Elon Musk, the CEO of SpaceX, has been vocal about the potential threats posed by solar storms. In fact, he shared an alarming graphic on May 11, 2024, showing just how much pressure the latest solar storm put on the Starlink satellites. The storm's energy drove up the load and functionality of the satellites, testing their resilience. While the satellites did manage to withstand the storm this time, Musk made it clear that we can't afford to be complacent. If another solar storm of similar or greater intensity hits, it could overwhelm the system, causing widespread disruptions to communications and navigation systems, not just for SpaceX, but for the entire world. This is a reality that scientists and experts have been warning about for years. Solar storms, particularly those caused by coronal mass ejections, CMEs, are a growing concern. These CMEs are massive bursts of solar wind and magnetic fields rising up from the sun's surface. When they reach Earth, they can create geomagnetic storms that disrupt our power grids, GPS systems, and satellite networks. The potential consequences of such a storm are terrifying. Imagine widespread power outages, global communication blackouts, and the collapse of satellite navigation systems. In today's world, where we rely on technology for everything from transportation to healthcare, the effects of a major solar storm could be catastrophic. The most famous historical example of a solar storm's power is the Carrington Event of 1859. This was the largest solar storm ever recorded, and it caused widespread disruption to the telegraph systems that were the cutting-edge communication technology of the time. Sparks flew from telegraph wires, and in some cases, entire telegraph stations caught fire. But the true scale of the Carrington Event's impact on today's world is difficult to comprehend. If a storm of that magnitude were to hit us now, the results would be far more devastating. Our modern infrastructure, satellites, power grids, GPS systems, would be exposed to levels of radiation far beyond what they were designed to handle. The economic costs would be in the trillions of dollars, and the effects on daily life would be catastrophic. The Earth has been hit by solar storms before, and it will be hit again. Solar storms are a natural part of the sun's activity cycle, which lasts about 11 years. During this cycle, the sun goes through periods of high and low activity, with solar flares and sunspots becoming more common during the solar maximum. We are currently nearing the peak of this cycle, and experts are warning that we could see even stronger solar storms in the coming years. The recent activity from AR 3664 is a clear sign that the sun is entering a period of increased volatility. What makes this cycle particularly concerning is the fact that the sun's magnetic fields may be reversing, a phenomenon that could lead to even more frequent and intense solar storms. This reversal is something that has happened in the past, but scientists are still unsure of what exactly it means for our planet. What they do know is that it could lead to a higher frequency of geomagnetic storms, with the potential to cause even more widespread disruptions to our technological systems. The sunspot AR 3664 is a prime example of how unpredictable and dangerous solar activity can be. Right now, the spot is pointing away from Earth, which means we are safe, for now. But as the sun continues its rotation, AR 3664 will eventually come back into alignment with our planet, and we could face another wave of intense solar storms. The risks are real, but the good news is that we're not entirely defenseless. While the effects of solar storms can be devastating, modern technology is far more resilient than it was in 1859. Satellites are now built with much stronger shielding to protect against the radiation from solar flares and CMEs. Power grids, too, are being upgraded to better withstand the effects of geomagnetic storms. However, many of the systems in place are still vulnerable, and a storm of the magnitude of the Carrington event would still cause serious damage. Governments around the world are taking these risks seriously and are working to develop new technologies to protect vital infrastructure from solar storms. One notable example of this is the 1989 geomagnetic storm that caused a major power outage in Canada. The storm knocked out power to the entire province of Quebec for nearly a day, demonstrating just how vulnerable our power grids are to solar activity. Since then, power companies have been working to strengthen their grids and reduce the risk of similar outages. But as the recent events with SpaceX's satellites show, there is still much work to be done. For now, we can only wait and watch. Scientists and astronomers are keeping a close eye on the sun, monitoring the activity of sunspots like AR 3664. They are also working on ways to better predict solar storms and develop technologies to protect against them. One thing is certain, the sun is an unpredictable force, and we need to be prepared for the possibility of a major solar storm at any time. It's a reminder that, while technology has made our lives easier in countless ways, it has also made us more vulnerable to the forces of nature. A solar storm powerful enough to disrupt our satellites, power grids, and communications networks would be a wake-up call, forcing us to reevaluate our dependence on technology and take action to safeguard our future. In the end, the most important thing is awareness. Solar storms are a natural part of life in the solar system, but their effects on our modern civilization can be far-reaching. The events of the past few years, from the intense solar storms that have already impacted satellites to the looming threat of AR 3664, serve as a warning. We must take these threats seriously and continue to work on solutions to protect our infrastructure from the next big solar event. Because when the sun sends its fury our way, we need to be ready. It's easy to think of the sun as a source of light and warmth, and for the most part, it is. But it's also a powerful, unpredictable force that can shape the course of human history. The solar storms of the past have left their mark on our world, and the storms of the future could do the same. Whether we see more auroras in the sky or find ourselves facing a crisis of global proportions, one thing is clear: we are living in an age where space weather is something we can no longer afford to ignore. The sun is not just a distant star, it's a force we need to reckon with.